This demonstration we're going to look at configuring the endpoint protection point site system role and also as well the client settings that are associated with that role. One of the things that we can do with System Center Configuration Manager is we can integrate in endpoint protection, which gives us anti-malware support. As we can see, I've come into my System Center Configuration Manager console, I've come to the administration workspace, I've come to client settings, and all I've done at this point here is I've just edited the default settings. Come down to endpoint protection. As you can see, everything's grayed out, and the reason why everything is grayed out is we haven't installed the endpoint protection role yet. So the first thing we're going to do at this point here is just install that role. So let's just cancel out of the policy. In administration, we're just going to come to our site configuration, go to our server and site system roles, and what we're going to do on lon-cfg, we're just going to right click and we're going to add a site system role. That'll bring us into Wizard. So what we have at this point here, if we just have a look on the general page, we are going to install the role on lon-cfg. I'm not going to require this server to initiate connections to the site server. I will use the site server's computer account, and we are a member of the adatum.com forest and domain. So we'll select next at this point here. We're not using a proxy server, so we'll select next. Then what we'll do is we're going to go for our endpoint protection point. Just telling us here, by default, it's going to use config manager software updates to deploy the definition engines and updates. Before you deploy the endpoint protection clients, ensure that we've configured the software updates in your hierarchy. So we did that in an earlier demo, so that's all up and running. So we'll select OK at this point here. Select our next button. Have a quick read through the various policies and say yes, we've read them and we understand them, and select next. I'm not going to join the cloud protection service. This is just where we pass information back to Microsoft so they can help us better understand and support our systems. So we'll select next at this point. We'll read through the summary. We'll select next. This installs fairly quickly. So once this is installed, we can click the close button. We'll just verify that it is installed. So all we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to come to our monitoring workspace. And on our monitoring workspace, we'll come to our system status. And under our system status, what we're going to look for is we're just going to look for our component status. And in component status, what we'll then do is we'll just do a search for our SMS endpoint protection. So if we just come in here and just type in endpoint and do a search, there we go, we've got our SMS endpoint protection. So all we'll do is we'll just show our messages. Do that for the last day. And what we should see at this point here is, if we scroll this across, yep, the component is installed. And the component has started, so we know it is there. Now we've done that, the next thing we need to do is we just need to configure some client settings. So we'll come to administration. Under administration, I'm just going to come down to my client settings. And what I'm going to do at this point here is I'm just going to create a new custom device setting. And we're just going to call this endpoint. And then what we'll do is we'll turn on the tick box for endpoint protection. Click on endpoint protection, and what we'll do at this point here is we will just now manage endpoint protection on my client computers. We'll install the endpoint protection on client computers as well. We'll leave that as yes, but it's either yes or no. Will we allow endpoint protection client installation restarts outside the maintenance window? No, we won't, but we could if we wanted to. It might be something like a security update that we do want to push out immediately. Then for Windows embedded devices, what we'll do at this point here is we will commit endpoint protection client installation. That will require a restart. We will suppress any required complete restarts after the endpoint protection client is installed, and we'll do that during the maintenance window. So if we say no, what we can do at this point is specify time period and disable alternate sources such as Microsoft Windows Update, Microsoft Windows Server Update services, or UNC shares. We can either set yes or no. Because we are using the software update point, we'll leave that as yes. So the software update point will be responsible for pushing out the actual anti-malware definitions. So we'll select OK at this point here. Now we've created that policy, what we'll do is we'll associate that policy with a computer collection. So what we'll do at this point here is we'll just look down here, and all we're going to do is we'll just associate that with our endpoint protection pilot and select OK. And that's the end of this demonstration of installing the endpoint protection point and configuring a set of device settings. Thank you.